Our player tip of the podcast is
Don't be a dick.
Nice try.
I got it that time. Third time's the charm.
Alex, you can avoid dickitude by listening to Alex.
Hello. So developing your character into somebody who has a rich story can be fun and rewarding process. You likely have an idea of what race and what class you want to play, you know, all that kind of stuff. But you, sorry, dyslexia. But you might have only a general idea of what your character's life was like before you started playing the character at the gaming table, like right there. A theme can help you flesh out your character and provide you with some interesting options for developing his or her background. Your character's theme is like a career or a calling or an identity or something that they love, and that describes who he or she is in just a couple of words. Just as a race or a class create basic definitions about who your character is, the theme adds a third character component to help refine your story and identity. This can expand on your background in much more detail. For instance, a sage background is a studied individual, right? But you can add to the theme to your character and add a complexity and make it clearly visible to all. In the case of a sage, maybe the character takes an express interest in magical potions. This could explain why they became a class that can channel spells, such as a druid, a sorcerer, or a wizard. If the player decides to be a wizard, you can flavor the spells to mix concoctions, and then you do the spell, allowing you to add the theme to your spells. For instance, casting Fireball may be throwing a vial of explosive liquids, or a charmed person effect could rise from removing the stopper from an intoxicating fragrance that comes from a corked glass container. A theme can embrace characters of different classes as well. For example, an alchemist character, for example, many alchemist characters are wizards, but rogues with a particular interest in providing his or her own means to disappearing quickly might pick up a few more formulas and learn how to make them. Another one, a ninja smoke bomb used when they take the hide action. Now, see, I love this, and the reason why I love this is because one of the ways that I always get people to do their character backgrounds is whenever I help newbies try to do their backgrounds, instead of working from like birth forward, I tend to try to pick like an item from their background that they want to be really big. And there's actually a thing in Xanathar's Guide to Everything. There's like sheets, there's charts in Xanathar's Guide to Everything that have a bunch of like really interesting, cool, nifty things that you could like pinpoint. And I actually don't tell people to roll. I tell them to read the chart and pick one is neat to you. So how I would use this idea, and like this is a really good idea. How I would do this is like I would go to the Xanathar's Guide and find something that sounds like something that you want, and then that's your theme. So like, my sister was kidnapped, and then it's like, that's your theme. Like, there you go. And I really like this. I think that is a really, really good idea. And I like how it can shape not only your role play, but your combat.
Absolutely. What do you think, Ian?
I do think like overall is a good idea, and we always touch on reflavoring a lot, and this just doubles down on it.
Yeah, and I really like this because I believe backgrounds are one of the best aspects to come out of 4th and 5th edition, and that those, regardless of what class you should play, should be involved in the class dynamic. So sailor is another popular one, right? If I was to play a sailor fighter, I'm not gonna pick a fucking sword as my weapon. I'm gonna be swinging around an anchor because it fits my theme. It fits my sailor theme. And you can do so much with that, regardless when you start to break down the bounds of, my character was this, they became this. How does my background influence how I do this class? And I truly believe we don't do that enough. But you're also obviously don't have to do that. But I think that it makes your character stand out more, because everyone sees fighters. You're gonna remember the fighter swinging an anchor. So
I just want to say that this also like as soon as I started reading this little character popped in my mind, and I just want to share for everyone so that people can
Please
steal
do.
this if they want. Either a kobold or a goblin. I actually imagine like a little lizard folk boy who, like, there's this little lizard folk who one day gets rescued by this wizard, but he has absolutely no ability to cast magic. So instead he becomes an artificer and pretends to be a wizard by throwing spell potions.
We once had I love that idea. We once had a player who was a sorcerer but pretended to be a wizard. Now, you might ask why? What's the point? Because he didn't like being known as a failure, and he went to wizard school to learn magic and failed and couldn't do it and just innately learned how to do things. So he wanted to keep up that make my father proud BS that I successfully became a powerful wizard when he doesn't actually need the books for anything, but he's always carrying a stack of them around.
Now I'm thinking about a character concept I saw online of a barbarian who attended wizard school, but he got it on a football scholarship.
Amazing.
Excuse me, making me giggle there. All right, I think that'll do it for our player tip of the podcast.
Don't be a dick.
And you can avoid dickitude by listening to Alex and including character themes in your RPGs.